What's going on, everyone? So, I was at this work happy hour last night at a bar downtown with a bunch of co-workers just trying to unwind after a long week and have some drinks and appetizer. The place was pretty packed with the after-work crowd. Everyone standing around in groups, talking loud over the music and the general noise of the bar. I wasn't really in the mood to socialize, honestly, because I was exhausted from the week, so I was kind of just standing there nursing my beer and zoning out. There was a TV mounted above the bar showing NBA Today on ESPN with the volume off and closed captions on, and I wasn't paying attention to it at first because I figured it would just be generic highlights and talking heads discussing the usual storyline. But then I looked up and saw they were doing this segment about the Warriors' win over the Bucks, and the graphic on screen showed something about Michael Porter Jr. and internal discussions Golden State has had about pursuing him. I literally told my co-workers to hold on a second because I needed to watch this, and they all looked at me like I was crazy for caring more about ESPN than the conversation we were having. I moved closer to the TV and started reading the closed captions, and they were breaking down not just the Warriors' impressive win with great performances from Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton, but also how that success creates urgency for Mike Dunleavy Jr. to make a major move for someone like Michael Porter Jr. before the trade deadline. I ended up standing there for like 20 minutes just reading captions and watching highlights, while my co-workers eventually gave up waiting for me and went back to their own conversation. The way NBA Today connected the Warriors' improved play to the need for a third scoring option to complement Curry, and how MPJ's elite shooting would fit perfectly into Steve Kerr's system, was honestly some of the most compelling trade deadline analysis I've seen all season. Let me walk you through everything that went down on that segment, because the framework they laid out for why Porter Jr. makes sense, both tactically and from a championship window perspective, was genuinely brilliant roster construction thinking. Hey, what's up, everyone? 1 second before we dive in. That like button right there? Hit it now. Takes literally 1 second, but makes a massive difference in growing this channel and reaching more fans. Just smash that, like real quick. Every like pushes this video further, so do me that favor right now. So they opened the segment with this premise that tonight's game changes absolutely everything for the Golden State Warriors as they picked up a massive win against the Milwaukee Bucks to get back to 2 games above 500 in the middle of the season. They've been on such a roller coaster ride up and down, just trying to create a little leverage and get themselves out of that 500 realm of basketball. Tonight was huge to get up to 2 games above 500, but furthermore, it proved that 2 guys on this roster, the 2 most important off-season acquisitions in DeAnthony Melton and Al Horford, really showed up and came to play with their best performances of the season. The analyst was saying they really showed that as a combo, these 2 can be game changers for this team. He wanted to talk about all things Horford and all things Melton in the video, but also discuss Draymond Green, who had an excellent performance and proved he still offers a lot, despite all the conversation about whether he should even be on the team anymore. Draymond had 14 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, knocked down 3 big threes, and basically had a 7-point run in the 4th quarter to elevate them to victory. And this is where Michael Porter Jr. entered the conversation as the potential game-changing addition that takes the Warriors from fringe playoff team to legitimate championship contender. The elite shooting fit motivation is absolutely paramount here. Porter Jr. is an elite shooter at 41.1% from 3 this season, and his ability to convert shots on the move and punish defenses when they're focused on Curry would fit perfectly into the Warriors' attack, which desperately needs that high-level floor spacing. The relief for Stephen Curry's offensive burden is huge. With Porter Jr., the Warriors would have another high-volume scorer who can operate without the ball, taking offensive pressure off Curry and making the attack more dynamic overall. Right now, too much depends on Steph creating everything, and adding someone who can get his own shot consistently changes the entire equation. The championship pursuit motivation is compelling for both sides. The Warriors are actively seeking roster improvements to compete for another title, And Porter Jr. represents a bold move in that direction while offering him the chance at a second championship ring after winning with Denver. That mutual desire to win now creates alignment that makes deals easier to facilitate. The generational transition element is fascinating because with uncertainty about the longevity of the veteran core, Porter Jr., at 26 years old, could become a key piece in the franchise's transition to the future, alongside younger talents like Jonathan Kuminga if he stays, or whoever they acquire in trade. You're not just adding for now, you're setting up the next 5 years. The system adaptation factor matters too. Despite playing in different systems throughout his career, Porter Jr. His experience winning a title with the Denver Nuggets suggests he can adapt to a structured winning environment like what the Warriors provide under Steve Kerr. He's proven he can play winning basketball in a defined role. After a quick Calci sponsorship segment, which I'll skip, they got into breaking down the actual game performance that proves the Warriors are close to being really good with just one more piece. Draymond Green was discussed at length because he's been such a hot topic lately. Is he worth having on the roster anymore, given the risks he presents? He had an awful turnover at the very beginning of the game on a simple inverted pick and roll with Steph Curry, where he should have just driven aggressively, but instead kicked it out of bounds. But then, after a quick conversation with Steve Kerr, Draymond was excellent from that point on. The biggest thing that doesn't show in the stat sheet is that Giannis Antetokounmpo and other stars, particularly in playoffs, they fear Draymond from a defensive standpoint. Giannis looked frustrated tonight, and even though he had a great performance, a lot of it came off switches and opportunities where he wasn't guarded by Draymond. The analyst bet that Giannis shot under 20% when actually guarded by Draymond, showing he still has that defensive prowess that matters in big games. That's the kind of thing you need in the playoffs, and pairing that with MPJ's offensive firepower would be devastating. But the story of the night was really the play of Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton. Melton had one of his best games as a Warrior, with 22 points, 2 rebounds, was a little selfish with no assists, but knocked down 5 threes, and was aggressive all night, playing really well. The reason they get excited about what Melton can be is the defensive prowess and his ability to pair perfectly alongside Curry in the backcourt, while also providing aggression and confidence on offense. They really saw that elevated to another level tonight from Melton, and the analyst was very impressed with how he scored the basketball. Looking at the overall performance from the team, this was probably one of the best complete performances from Golden State so far this season in the 120-113 victory over a pretty solid Bucks team that's still an NBA veteran-laden squad with Giannis. Steph Curry put up 31 points on pleasant 16 from the field. Brandon Podziemski didn't have his best game with only 2 points, but still was pleasant 19 when on the floor, showing he contributed to winning basketball. Al Horford was pleasant 9 with a great game, 8 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists in just 19 minutes, which is incredible production. He knocked down 2 threes, had a great block against Bobby Portis, just did everything needed. To grab 10 rebounds in 19 minutes and 6 assists as a big man in 19 minutes is excellent. A great showcase of what they need from him all season. And Steph continues to impress each night with 31 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Almost identical stats to his unanimous MVP season. At the ripe old age of 37, soon to be 38 in a couple months, Steph can still do it at an elite level. And here's where the urgency for a Michael Porter Jr. trade really crystallized in the segment. Jonathan Kuminga was notably a DNP again tonight, didn't step on the floor, continuing to bolster the idea he's probably getting traded very soon. Multiple reports say there's mutual agreement the Warriors have done their homework, and there's a 60% chance Kuminga is moved by the end of the homestand on January 20th. But there's also this fear from Anthony Slater's reporting that Kuminga's contract isn't really that valuable, and he's not that interesting as an asset for other rosters. So what if he gets stuck in Steve Kerr's rotation, making $22. $5 million per year and not even playing, just sitting on the bench? That scares everyone and could be a major issue if they can't find a way to move him. This is where MPJ becomes the solution. You package Kuminga plus other assets to get a proven elite scorer, rather than hoping Kuminga develops into something he might never become. Porter Jr. at 26 is what you hope Kuminga becomes in 3 years. So why not just get the finished product now while Curry is still at this level? The Michael Porter Jr. situation was brought up specifically with sources saying Golden State has indeed had internal discussions about whether to pursue Porter. The analyst was saying this is why he's bringing all of this up. At this point in the season, with MPJ discussions, Trey Murphy discussions, the Kuminga situation, potential Anthony Davis pursuit, even though maybe the Hawks are going after him now, it's time for Mike Dunleavy Jr. to step out of the shadows and make a big move. It's clear these conversations are being had, which is encouraging, but now is the time to swing for the fences. Steph Curry is not going to be putting up stats like 31-7-7 forever, so find a way to capitalize at this point in his career while he's still performing at this ridiculous level. Capitalize on the improved performances of guys like Al Horford and DeAnthony Melton, who had great games tonight. Find a way to get the job done. It has to happen very soon. The trade framework would likely involve Kuminga as the centerpiece going out, probably along with Andrew Wiggins' contract for salary matching, plus draft capital since the Warriors don't have a ton of picks, but do have some future seconds and pick swaps. Brooklyn is shopping MPJ because his contract is large and they're rebuilding, so there's a deal to be made if Dunleavy is aggressive. The upcoming schedule was discussed as both opportunity and urgency. Tonight was the first game in an 8-game homestand. Kings, Hawks, Blazers, Knicks, Hornets, Heat, Raptors, all at home. These are winnable games where they should stack wins. The Hawks just traded their star player and are vulnerable. The Kings only have 8 wins. Blazers are inconsistent. Hornets and Raptors are both weak. If they can win maybe 8 straight at home, that would be incredible and position them perfectly for a playoff push. But that's also why you make the MPJ move now, rather than waiting. You add him for this homestand and build chemistry while playing weaker competition, then you're ready for the playoff push with a legitimate big 3 of Curry, MPJ, and whoever else. Maybe keeping Wiggins if you can facilitate differently, or adding another piece. The system fit for Porter Jr. cannot be overstated. Steve Kerr's motion offense with constant off-ball movement and screening would be perfect for MPJ, who excels at shooting off movement and relocating. Pairing him with Curry means defenses can never help off either of them, creating wide-open driving lanes for others and easy scoring opportunities. The defensive concerns with MPJ are real. He's not a lockdown defender and can be targeted, but having Draymond as the defensive anchor, plus improved play from guys like Melton who can check opposing guards, means you can hide MPJ on the weakest offensive player and let him focus on scoring. That's how you win championships. Maximize strengths and minimize weaknesses through scheme. What really struck me about this entire NBA Today segment was how they used the impressive win over Milwaukee as proof of concept that the Warriors are close to being really good. They just need that one more high-level scoring piece. It wasn't blow it up and rebuild or this team has no chance. It was, you're right there, now go get the guy who puts you over the top while Curry can still do this. So, what do you guys think? Should the Warriors go all in on trading for Michael Porter Jr., even if it means giving up Jonathan Kuminga and other assets? Or are the injury concerns and contract size too risky? And would adding MPJ actually make them championship favorites? Or do they still need more help? Let me know in the comments, because after watching NBA Today break down how Porter Jr.'s elite shooting fits perfectly with Curry and how the urgency of Steph's timeline demands action now, I'm pretty convinced this is exactly the kind of bold move that transforms a good team into a legitimate contender for one more title run.